Hi, my name is Michelle Zeman and welcome to my web channel. I'm going to be making a video today about head tilt. I'm going to have a disclaimer at the beginning. I am not a vet. I am just going to pass on what my vet told me and what worked for me. But hopefully, if you know my experience, it will help you get through it because it is a very scary thing. I'm going to go over certain things. I'm going to talk about what it is, the symptoms, the treatment, my experiences with the treatment. So, what is it, head tilt? It's actually physically exactly that, when a rabbit's head is tilted over. And it could be caused by two major things, either EC, which is E. Cuniculi, a parasite which can get into the brain and cause neurological damage in the bunny, or it could be an inner ear infection, which throws their balance off, and that's why they're extremely dizzy. They tilt their head because they're so dizzy. As somebody who's had an inner ear infection, I can tell you that it is scary. It is, dizzy is too small a word for actual inner ear infection. I remember when I had it, I literally had to hang on to the sides of the bathtub because I felt like the moon was moving around. I felt like I was going to fall out of the tub, and because my balance was so off. So if your bunny does have that, that's why he's going to act the way he does. And it's very scary, but that's what he's experiencing, that dizziness. The E. Cuniculi is a parasite that you can have tested for. A lot of times if you test for it, it really won't make too much of a difference because a lot of rabbits test positive for it, but then they never show symptoms of it. When my Barney did get head tilt, I took him to the vet and he was treated for both E. Cuniculi and inner ear infection. Personally, I think it was the inner ear infection, and I think that's what it is again. But again, I'm treating for both to cover all bases. Different medications that he's on include antibiotic, Bantrol at the moment. He also takes Meclizine, which is the ingredient found in bonine and Dramamine. You can actually get this off of Amazon, and it's much cheaper. It's the same thing we take for motion sickness. And Panacur is what's given to dogs for deworming. And this is to treat the parasite, the EC. He's also on Penicillin injections, so he gets this once a week. Sometimes they can get it once a day, depending on your doctor. He's also on eye drops. This is eye lubricant because what happens is that because the rabbit's head is tilted, one eye is down on the floor all the time and it can get debris in it. The other eye, because it's open most of the time trying to see, can get very dried out. So I found putting eye lubrication or artificial tears a couple times daily was a big help. Alright, so exactly what happened to Barney. I woke up in the middle of the night. My dog, Xavier, woke me up because he's very good with the bunnies and very protective of the bunnies. He woke me up and I saw Barney crashing in the pen. He was rolling around. I thought he was having a seizure because I've had guinea pigs who've had seizures and they have passed away. I thought that's what was happening to him. I thought he was passing away, and luckily I have friends who have bunnies, and I called my good friend Yoli and Tracy, and they calmed me down enough to let me know that it was probably an inner ear infection and that he could make it through to the morning, and they gave me hope and just were able to calm me down, because it's really important that you remain calm, not just for yourself, but for your rabbit, because thinking back, I was just making him more upset by being so upset. All right, but in the beginning, his head was just slightly tilted, and even with the rolling, he just had a slight tilt. That tilt got progressively worse over the days. He also had eye darting in the beginning, meaning his pupils were going darting, and that could be a sign of, I was told could be a sign of neurological damage, but I don't think it was in this case, I think. All right, so we took him to the emergency room. After that experience, he was given oxygen and the medicine that I just described. Because he had this lack of balance, he was not able to eat for himself, so he is given critical care, which if you're a rabbit owner, you're extremely familiar with. This is food that has all the proper nutrients that gets mixed in a bowl and syringe fed to them to make sure that they're still eating. Barney, thankfully, didn't he ate less, a lot less, so we did give him the critical care, but he never stopped eating completely, which was a very, very good sign. Even when he has his head tilt right now, he's still eating. It is extremely important to keep him hydrated, though, because after 2 weeks, even on the medication, and as is typical with some rabbits, it gets worse before it gets better, head tilt. And I learned this, I have to give a shout out to the Help for Head Tilt Bunnies Facebook group. If you do have a bunny, definitely join this group. They are full of information and people have gone through this and very supportive. Anyway, 2 weeks later, I found him, he was not getting up, he was panting, again to the emergency vet because it was midnight, and this time he was given pain medicine, and because he's so dizzy, he literally curls up into a fetal position and freezes, and it's very scary to look at. And when I took him to the vet, he was in this position, and I'm sure that this is why the vet gave me this advice, but he said that he should be put down. And I knew that when Barney was home, he was still eating, he was still moving around, he was still grooming being groomed by his bonded rabbit partner, Fred. I also knew from my experience with other face group people that bunnies can live with head tilt. So even if worst case scenario, Barney still had a head tilt but got better otherwise, he could live a full, happy life, okay? So there's definitely hope even then. So I didn't take his advice. I knew I wasn't going to put him down. But the fluids definitely helped him. So after taking him the next day again to my regular vet to get more fluids, we actually had a fluid bag that we took home with us, and it broke my heart because we had to, I'm not good with needles, but we gave him subcutaneous fluids every single day, sometimes several times a day, to get him through the next few weeks. Okay, other treatments that we did included, because his neck was getting very sore, every day, every time I would hold him, I would massage his neck, and that's what I'm doing again. I'm just giving him the massage, holding his head upright a little bit, so just to help stretch it. It's very gentle because he's very fragile. Bunnies are extremely fragile. And something that you can also do to help them turn their head is when you're feeding them, if they are eating on their own, like get a carrot and actually hold it so they will normally try and eat it with their head standing straight up. And even if it goes back down afterwards, at least this is giving their muscles a little bit of exercise. The other thing you need to know is that it can take a very long time for a bunny to get better from this. It took Barney 3 months. It was 3 months on the antibiotics. He did slowly start to show improvement after the first month. He was getting around better. His head tilt started to get a little bit better, but for him to get his entire tilt gone, it took 3 months, and he was on antibiotics and the Panacur and the eye drops that entire time. He didn't need to be on fluids that entire time, thank God, but he was on all the rest of those medicines. But the good news is he did recover, and even though he's had a relapse now, which can happen, it's been 3 years that he's been totally fine. All right, he's had less energy, but he's an older bunny. He's 9 and a half, going to be 10. So he has less energy anyway. So that may have slowed down his recovery. If you have a younger bunny that goes through this, hopefully they will recover much sooner. Again, I'm not a vet. Go to your vet, get his advice. These are just certain things that I found out. Another tip that I wanted to mention is that something that I didn't try, but you could ask about, is using a couple different antibiotics at the same time, because I learned from the group that sometimes it's good to have two antibiotics, one anaerobic and one aerobic, meaning if the bacteria survives in oxygen or it doesn't survive in oxygen. There's two types of antibiotics that can handle that in either case. So you can ask your vet about that. I'm going to ask my vet about that this time. All right, and if you could please say a prayer for my rabbit Barney, I would really appreciate it. Thank you so much for listening. I hope this was a help. If it has been, please leave me a comment. If your bunny has gone through this, please let me know. I would definitely like to hear what you've been through, and I do think hearing about it from other people can help. Hopefully we can help each other. All right, so be strong, stick with it. Your bunny's a fighter. I know my Barney's a fighter. And okay, thank you so much.